Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at a double Darkrai in the Open Master League. I really wanted to try this out because I have a very good 98% shiny Darkrai, which I wanted to build all the time already. I never really had the Stardust, but now I decided to go for it. I actually would have had a 100% variant as well, but I wanted to go for the shiny flex because you don't really often get the 98%, especially as you cannot trade a Darkrai, as it's counted as a mythical Pokemon. So that's why I went for this one. Yes, I know a lot of people would rather go for the 100%, but let's take a look at this Pokemon. I also gave it with an Elite TM the charge move Sludge Bomb and a legacy move, but as you can see already, it has some kind of impact at least there. But of course, the Togekiss is still going to be able to farm us down as our dark typing does not really go too well against a fairy type, I would say. But still, this team is going to be really cool because of several things. I'm going to talk a little bit about it as well. When I built this team, I didn't really expect that this would work as well as it actually did at the end of the day. I actually went positive, which I literally didn't expect. I really went actually crazy positive, to be fair. So I was super happy playing this team. This team has some struggles, of course, against something like a Landorus because our backline does not really appreciate either the superpower as well as, of course, the Stone Edge. Our lead also doesn't really appreciate it too much, but we can swap out into our Darkrai right now and we can go for the Shield. Of course, this Pokemon looks really cool, but the cool thing about this team as well is just the typings itself. The typings, of course, the lead is going to be really weak against Giratina. But as Giratina is nowadays one of the more common Pokemon, it also can counter something like the Zacian. Our backline is completely hardwalling Giratina Origin, which is really good to see, and also helped us out quite a bit. But there's another Pokemon, which we're going to talk about later when we're actually going to see the Pokemon, that literally has no chance at all against this team, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, we're going to see here the Rayquaza actually running Outrage still. This is something that I didn't even really see there. But that's kind of wild. As the opponent gonna go back into the Landorus, they can go for the Meteor Mesh, and we are not going to knock them out, and we also don't get the fast move through, which is really sad, as you're going to see later on. As the superpower comes through, we're going to have the Zacian in the back against us. I try to go up to a Focus Burst, but they're going to go for their own charge move beforehand. Which doesn't really matter. Like for me, like going for a charge move there doesn't matter because I have to go for one Meteor Mesh anyway. Even if I went for the Focus Burst, it doesn't matter. But now, as you're going to see right now, because the fast move didn't go through, it's only going to be a tie. If the Snarl went through, I would have been able to knock out the opponent there. But this is still a good game. Next opponent, we're going to have the Dialga in the lead here. That's going to be okay for us. We can go for the bait here first. Saving basically 2 bullet punches is really risky. I can see some people not shielding the first one there, but it's also risky on their side. Here it definitely worked out fairly well. And we're gonna get them into range for a Dark Pulse soon, as they're gonna go ahead and go into a Lugia. And this is exactly what I mean. While of course Lugia can still do some damage against us with like Aeroblast, and they can still take 2 Dark Pulses here, or like 1 Dark Pulse, but they're going to outspeed me here. There is basically no good Pokemon for Lugia, and Lugia is honestly one of the most common Pokemon to see in the Master League right now for good reasons, but this entire team completely destroys it. I'm going to have 2 Dark types and 1 Steel and Psychic type against Lugia, which is just not what they want to see. Speaking of what they not want to see, we're going to have here the MEWeedle against us, as they're going to also have now the Dialga came back in, and I make a mistake here as well. This was not the mistake. I was able to get the final shield of the opponent, but I decided to go for the Meteor Mesh before they can go for a charge move. And honestly, it does not make any sense at all to do this play. This play literally doesn't make sense. I literally could have just went ahead and went for the Earthquake there. The opponent maybe would have been able to go for one charge move, but I still would have been able to shield this one up and would have been able to knock them out then. The opponent's Mewtwo wouldn't have been able to farm me down, and I still had my Darkrai in the back. Like this, I am in a little bit of a struggle, but the opponent weren't able to get to the charge move yet, and I was able to knock them out with 1 Dark Pulse from our Darkrai here, which was really cool to see. Next opponent, we're going to see a Rayquaza lead. The thing is, there is a common team that I also showcased like several times on my channel already, which is Rayquaza, the Zacian, and the Groudon, and I expect the opponent to have something similar. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the shield advantage, and I'm going to swap out after this charge move here right now, because I kinda have to keep alive my Metagross just in case they are running a Zacian. Great play by the opponent though to catch the Dark Pulse on the Zacian here, but I still will be able to go ahead and go for the Sludge Bomb here right now, which most likely would actually knock them out after this one, I would say, or at least comes very close to it, because it's going to be, of course, a super effective move, and the opponent decided to shield this move up as well, and the player is going to knock me out now. But at this point of time, I have now a 2 shield advantage, which is going to be really good. Unless they have a Charmer in the back, I will be able to just win this game here at this point of time, I would say, because, of course, our backline going to be fairly decent there, as we're going to see the Groudon on the back. This is something that is like the thing anyway. If you copy teams that I play as well, if you play against me, of course I know them, but of course still those teams definitely work out fairly well. But here, of course, because I knew that the opponent going to have most likely a Groudon in the back, this game is going to be ours because I was able to adjust my game style towards that, and I will be able to now go for 1 Dark Pulse and knock them out. But yeah, if you enjoy the double Dark line here, if you enjoy the Darkrai spice, definitely leave a like on the video. I really hope the Darkrai gets its signature move eventually. It's already found in the code as far as I know, but already like for 2-3 years. So hopefully finally we're gonna get the Dark Void on Darkrai. Maybe as a fast move would be really cool. But yeah, in the main series games, the move does no damage but can put people to sleep, or like even in double belts can put both Pokemon to sleep. So it would have been a cool one, but we will see what Niantic going to do with that, most likely for Halloween anyway, which is actually kind of getting closer anyway, because like I don't know, like the year recently approaches so fast, it's wild. As you're going to now encounter here, one of the Pokemon that I really don't like to see, by the way, the Ho-Oh. Luckily the opponent decided to let this move go through, but Ho-Oh is like one of the Pokemon that I really don't like to encounter with this team, because there is no clear answer for it. Our backline can still deal with it, does neutral damage against it and takes neutral damage from them, but Ho-Oh itself is a very strong Pokemon, to be fair, and it's like if you don't have a really good answer for it, it's a little bit tricky to deal with. Speaking of a little bit tricky to deal with, here we're going to have now the opponent's Groudon, and I have one plan to go for the Dark Pulse here immediately, and I have to let this move go through. Like if they go ahead and I've survived it, I still will be having a chance here, and I survive with 1 HP, which is really important for me, as you're going to see here right now as well. I will be able to get through the move, and my only play here is to call that they're going to go for 1 Fire Punch here, which I do, and this works out fairly well, because I can get to 2 moves anyway, and now I have to farm down to hope that I can get to 2 charge moves against the opponent's Zacian. Of course, I won't be able to do this, because Zacian also generates energy fairly fast, so this is going to be sadly a loss, but good game to my opponent there. Don't think there was anything that I really did wrong here, but I just lost the game there, I think against the Ho kind of as well. But yeah, let's take a look at the next game. Of course, with a Rayquaza in the lead, I kind of expect them to have the same team as I expected prior already, with a Groudon in the back. Groudon plus a Rayquaza, if you don't encounter a Mamoswine, is a really good core. But let's take a look at this game here. We're going to play it basically as we did before. We're going to try to go ahead and let them go for a charge move against our Metagross here right now. All resisted, and I'm going to swap out immediately, as you can see here as well, into my Darkrai. Also, sometimes I actually get comments about what auto clicker I'm using, because the clicks are so fast. It's just 2 times speed, man. Like, it's literally no auto clicker or anything like this. It's just like tapping at 2 times speed. So it looks very fast, but it's just the gameplay that's sped up. Bam! Here we're going to now get the Dialga out of the way, and you see already, actually the Dark Pulse did so much damage against them, which is kind of wild. And I'm gonna go ahead and go into my Yveltal. I should be able to reach the next Dark Pulse in time before they can go for 2 charge moves, hopefully, as they're gonna go for 1 Thunder here right now. I will be able to get to my Dark Pulse here, and this should do some pretty decent damage, and it's gonna get shielded. In comes now the Solgaleo, and this is actually really decent for me, because I can still get to the Earthquake, and they didn't catch the Meteor Mash, which is really important for me, as now they're going to be in range where I can just snarl them down, and I will let this move go through, because I know that I'm going to be easily surviving an Iron Head from this Pokemon. They even went for the bait here first, and of course, just for the flex, we're gonna have to go for the Zero Bubble Focus Blast against the opponent's Dialga, and we can say goodbye to them. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to see the Zacian in the lead. We can now go ahead and stay in here, of course, as they're going to stay in as well, and they wanted to get some damage onto me, it seems here, as they go for the close combat against me, and I will be able to take this move fairly easily, and we're going to see another Lugia coming in, of course. Lugia is one of those Pokemon I like to see, but sadly, I was just literally 1 turn too late, as they got another fast move through there. If you're fast enough, you're actually going to be able to get to 2 Dark Pulse here before they can go for an Arrow Blast, which is really good for you, but here in this case, sadly not going to happen. But at least I was able to build up to 2 Dark Pulses here, and I will be able to knock them out while using 1 shield. In comes the Zacian. I will be able to go for my Dark Pulse here as well. I kind of wanted to bait the potential Hurricane, but this didn't work out as well. But the opponent going to be able to go for another charge move here against me, and I will be able to take the Wild Charge as the opponent goes into a Zekrom, and this is going to be also a Pokemon that can kind of core breaks his team. Zekrom is fairly difficult to deal with, as you're going to see here as well. I will have to go ahead and go for the Dark Pulse here, and as you can see, it does a ton of damage, does the same amount of damage against the Zekrom as against the Dialga. They have the same stats as far as I know. So yeah, it's going to be a little tricky. My only play at this point of time is trying to farm them all the way down and get to 2 charge moves again. This is a little bit tricky, of course, because the fast move is going to be resisted, and I needed one more fast move to knock them out, most likely, and I didn't get that one through. So, good game there to the opponent. Zekrom is a little bit tricky to deal with, but we can take a look at the next opponent here right now. Let's see what they're going to run. They're going to run a Dialga in the lead. Again, a fairly decent lead for us, kinda neutral, but we will be able to go for the super effective Earthquake, as we will go for the bait first. Let's see if this bait going to work again here as before. And this time around it actually does work again. That's very, very nice for us. It's a little bit risky all the time because some will call the bait. And honestly, I should adjust my playstyle a little bit as well in the future, most likely, and not always go for the bait. Because I think a lot of people know me and also know my videos and know that I'm going to bait quite often. And I think at this point of time, it kind of gets into a routine where I bait too much. So yeah, we're going to now take a look at the Dark Pulse damage against the opponent, as this is going to knock out the Dialga with one more fast move, and in comes the Lugia. And here our Darkrai is literally going to town, as you can see already. We can go ahead and go for another charge move here. We're already able to knock out the Dialga. Now we're going to be able to knock out the Lugia as well with our Darkrai. And we're going to swap immediately here now into our good friend Yveltal. They have a Giratina in the back, poor soul there, nothing they can do. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have a Groudon in the lead. Of course we're going to swap out immediately into our Darkrai. This will allow us to go for a Dark Pulse, but they decide to swap out into the Lugia. Don't ask me what they thought about that. Like, I actually don't know what they wanted to do here, to be fair. I will be able to go for a Dark Pulse on the CMP type with a Sky Attack. I always will be able to realign, and as you know already, the Groudon going to have not the best matchup against our good friend Yveltal, and they're gonna go back into the Groudon. They can go for their charge move in time. This is a Fire Punch. I still survive it. If it's a Precipice Blade, I of course gonna go down. But now, Yveltal going to have a fairly decent time here. I'm actually thinking here right now, do I go ahead and go for the Focus Blast? Because Focus Blast is going to knock them, Dark Pulse doesn't. And let's see what we're going to do here right now. Do they shield this move up? This is like the question here. I'm going to go for the Dark Pulse. It's a little bit of a safer play, I would say. And it didn't turn out well. So, like, if I went for the Focus Blast, I would have been better off here. But actually maybe not, because I'm still going to have to encounter now this Excadrill. And because I had some extra energy in the beginning, this matchup going to be a little bit easier for me, as I can go ahead and go for the Dark Pulse spam. As you're gonna get them super low, I was actually waiting out there for a little bit as the opponent went for one more fast move, and I was able to catch the Rock Slide onto my Metagross. And at this point of time, I'm gonna go ahead and use both shields on my Metagross, because I will be able to get a ton of energy here, which will be beneficial for us later for the Groudon, as I will get so much energy that the opponent going to have to shield this move up as well. The Excadrill is at 1 HP. I will be able to get this like basically super low here, and just one Dark Pulse will be enough to knock them out. But they actually decide to go for the Fire Punch, which was a huge mistake, as I was able to farm him down, and the Metagross is going to sweep endgame here with a Zero Bubble Meteor Mash. So, this team actually is really, really strong so far. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have the Dialga. We actually have a little bit more gameplay than usual here as well. I didn't really want to cut off any of them, so yeah. We're going to have, you know, the Dialga against us, and they're going to catch the move onto the Ho-Oh. Honestly, I'm most likely should have went into my, actually go into my Darkrai, never mind, so like that's most likely the best play that I could have done. But I decided to go for the CMP here instead of going for one more fast move, which didn't work out at all because I didn't go for the CMP. So now we're going to be in a little bit of a tough spot. They're of course going to get the 50% chance for the debuff of our attack, which does not really matter too much in this scenario here, but maybe matters a little bit later on, as the opponent going to approach here with their Dialga afterwards again. And of course I would have appreciated a little bit more damage here, which I don't know if it really matters to be fair, but here as you're going to see right now, it does still do some pretty decent damage, but of course it would have been in red health around here right now with the prior damage, so it would have been definitely cool. But in comes now the Yveltal, and at this point of time we have an Yveltal against an Yveltal, but the opponent has both energy as well as a shield advantage here. But I can go for my Focus Blast, and they're going to shield this move up, not ideal for me. I'm going to shield up their move as well here, and it's actually going to be a Hyper Beam. I actually didn't know that this Pokemon learned Hyper Beam, so maybe I'll make an episode eventually as well with Hyper Beam variant of the Yveltal, just to maybe try to... Actually, it's actually an interesting move there. Maybe to do something against Asian or something would be cool. It's just a very neutral move there, and it's just a lot of fun. Are there 3 Hyper Beam users for the Master League that you can run? Would be an interesting one as well to know. But yeah, let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to have now the Giratina against us. We will be able to swap out into our Darkrai, and in comes the Lugias, and we will be able to go for the Sludge Bomb, but sadly the opponent gets actually an extra fast move through, which actually going to matter later on, as you're going to see, as the opponent going to go ahead and go for their own charge move here. They thought that one disarming voice is enough, but it isn't. And if I got the extra fast move through there and didn't give the opponent the extra fast move, I most likely would have been able to go for another Sludge Bomb here and either flip or give me a shield advantage, which would have been very, very nice for me. But like this, I'm going to get some energy advantage here onto my Metagross. This should only be a disarming voice, and this doesn't really do too much damage, as it can swap out, and we're gonna meet again an Excadrill here, which can be a little bit of a tricky mole here to deal with. Not really ideal move timing by me, which is really sad to see, because now the opponent gets an extra fast move through. I didn't want to waste energy here. So at this point of time, it's going to be a tricky one to still win. We got one move through already, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna go ahead and go for one more fast move and go for the Dark Pulse. No, it's definitely a clear Dark Pulse, so there don't really have to shield this move up, but they still do, and so maybe I actually can go ahead and go for the Focus Burst here. But I don't really want to risk it. The Switch Clock should come up. Yeah, the Switch Clock is actually already up here. So I'm gonna go for the Dark Pulse. I thought it was actually already enough to knock them out. It was just barely wasn't. Now we're going to now see the Giratina coming in, which is not ideal for me. And basically, I have to hope that my Yveltal are going to be able to carry this game. I should still be able to survive a move from the Giratina against my Yveltal, but not really a Shadow Ball. But luckily I will be able to outspeed them here, go for the Dark Pulse, knock them out. Can we farm down the opponent? We can. And this is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed the double Darkrai here, please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. There are 2 videos on the screen, check them out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.